going to make sure that when I share my audio, right, Natalie?
Yes, always. I mess that up every single week.
I know,
So
right? I'm
at
like,
least you have the presence to remember it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, Donna, where were you traveling home to? Sounds like you had a far flight, maybe across the country. Are you East Coast?
It's only two time zones. It's Midwestern, but
Yeah, we
I
had
think
one of
coming on
our,
the back of daylight saving time, having just
Yeah.
switched, like it was like whiplash.
yeah, I bet. I know. And also one of our colleagues, Joshua, who some of you guys met at the conference, his flight was delayed like 15 hours. So he didn't get home until like to his family until probably like the next day, very early. So I know it was probably all kinds of travel fun going back for everybody. So thanks everybody who's making some time to hop back on today and debrief from the conference. Yeah, the older I get, the tougher the jet lag. It's so hard. It's
It is
so
so true.
hard. It's just
The
like
things you
truly
did not
some
know.
whatever's happening to me in the airplane is, that's it's a lot happening up there. So we'll keep an eye on the waiting room, but in the interest of time, we are going to get started. So I am just really excited to welcome everybody from the conference today that is going to spend a little bit of time going through MemoryFox with us today and just debriefing from the conference. So, like I mentioned earlier, we are going to be recording this and sending this out later, so people can watch this later that couldn't make it. We want to keep this super casual, so we're going to keep the momentum going from NPSC and all the excitement. So feel free to come off mute, ask questions, whatever you guys want to do. But everybody will get a follow-up email from us after this that just has an overview of what we talked about today as well as the presentation. So welcome. And so I am Danielle from the MemoryFox team, and I am actually located in San Diego where the conference took place. So my apologies for the rain that was brought to you by my town that weekend. So everybody that traveled and was hoping for San Diego weather, my apologies. But great to see you all, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's so good to be with you all again. Gosh, I mean, nonprofit storytelling conference is definitely, there's a lot of good conferences out there, but it is for sure my favorite conference of the year. And especially because of so many people who believe in storytelling and ethical storytelling the way that we do. It's just a really special place to have those important conversations. So thank you to everybody who came up to our booth to learn a little bit more, but also share more about what you all do. I live in Northern California, but I am actually still in San Diego, rounding out my last day here. I fly home tonight, but yeah, the sky is actually parting. I'm outside right now. It's parting a little bit, and we're seeing some blue sky finally. So yeah, I'll
I hope
apologize.
it doesn't rain on you while you're out there, Natalie.
Yeah. Oh, I think if it does, I'm going to move inside, but we're good for now.
Awesome. Cool. Well, today, this is just a bit of our agenda today. So we're going to do a little bit of a recap on the conference. We'll announce the contest winner, which some of you might have seen. We'll do a walkthrough of how MemoryFox works. We're going to go through some real story examples that Natalie has from us because she works directly with our customers. We're going to go over our membership options and the different discounts that exist and our Q&A and next steps. But of course, if anybody has questions, we'll try to keep an eye on the chat. If you want to come off mute, interject at any time, feel free. This can be a pretty casual conversation. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Natalie to do a little bit of a recap.
Yeah, so like I said, I just really appreciate it. I know all of us, Danielle, you as well, and Josh as well, just the chance to hear kind of the state of the sector where people feel like they are in their storytelling efforts, where they feel like they're challenged or struggling a little bit or could use more support. And what we kind of universally heard as our top three takeaways from our booth conversations and beyond was People just generally recognizing they have this need to collect more stories, uplift their community stories, but there's always that challenge of limited staff time and bandwidth. And also sometimes there's the challenge of maybe you don't have direct access to capture those stories from people like immediately in your near vicinity. There might be like one layer of intermediary staff or case managers, or even people spread out through different geographic locations. So needing to capture those stories from remote places, but have them all centralized in one place. I think we heard that from a lot of different organizations. Secondly, and this one I know our team absolutely appreciates because it's something we've really leaned into over the last few years, is a desire to tell stories in a way that feels really ethical, that feels authentic and inclusive of all of your community voices, and also recognizing that sometimes those stories that you have in your community may be coming from a place that could be potentially sensitive or might need some sort of confidentiality for the storyteller themselves, or maybe even leaning into like that trauma-informed space. So hearing that continue to be voiced year over year is like really building on our team's like doubling down of resources around ethical storytelling. So thank you for helping us understand what you need in that space. And then more and more, I'm hearing this like at different conferences we go to, but especially here at NPSC, that people recognize like they often basically it's the difference between having a need to include content in some sort of report or newsletter or social media post and having to scramble to get the story versus the opposite, getting ahead of it and building that bank of stories so that that content is available to you in the moment when you need it. I know a lot of people feel like they know there are so many stories out there, but they struggle to get them. So that was probably one of the most, I think, overwhelming things we heard, Danielle, is like creating that bank so that you have it for all the different purposes when you
Yeah,
need it.
for sure. Yeah, like hearing that things were sort of scattered, and I have a Google Drive and this and that, things were all over the place, and just not having something ready to go was definitely one of the more popular answers that we heard. So really cool to hear that from so many people, and what everybody was experiencing. I do have the video from the conference that I am gonna share. So Natalie, you want to just say really quick what this is?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So for those who came to the session that I presented, you saw that we did a little like community solicitation of we want to build our conference highlight reel. So basically, like we invited people at our booth to share what is your proudest moment of your team's accomplishment from 2025. And then we turned it into this great little highlight reel here that we played at the end of my session. And Danielle's going to roll the footage here. Oh, we're not hearing the sound, Danielle.
Oh, it didn't work. No, this is what we do. It's just
Oh,
I
you
had
probably
it
did.
shared. I did do it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I just lost like all my screens as well. Here, let's try that again. Let me separate this from that
It's good.
window.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth the reshare.
Okay, so let's try that again. And we're gonna share our screen, and we're gonna share sound. Can you see the video? And I'll maximize it. But
Yep.
how about
What
now? Can you hear
accomplishment are you
that?
most proud
Yep.
of this year? Here's what you said.
I would say I'm most proud of this year in the midst of really hard things happening. Our team has pulled together and created a sustainable plan for moving forward, and we're really excited to roll that out.
All right, so we just 3 months ago got a brand new executive director of our organization. Hello, that's the guy. And as a way for him to get to, or our people to get to know him, we've started including a weekly video update from him each week in our newsletter, and now people read it. So it's been great.
I am most proud of taking my son to Kenya after his senior year of high school to get that one more dad-son experience before he goes to college.
What I'm most proud of my team for this year is that we have over 120 students enrolled in our after-school programming, which means that we've got 120 kids who are enrolled in reading tutoring sessions, career pathway opportunities, and they're receiving social-emotional lessons to really help them hone their human skills to become the best learners that they can be.
What I'm most proud of this year is figuring out how to make 3 different drop-offs and pickups for 3 different kids at 3 different schools. It's basically an Olympic sport. Gold medal goes to Dad.
I'm most proud that I had the opportunity to organize a community-centric fundraising family reunion event ahead of ICON, where we came together as ethical storytellers and fundraisers to support the communities that we work with.
Thanks for sharing with us. We can't wait to watch you crush 2026.
I love that video for so many reasons, but one of them is that like for those of you that don't know, like that video was created live at the event. So we captured those stories. People stopped by our booth and told those stories using a MemoryFox campaign, and we really quickly built that shared video that we were able to share at the event that day. That can be so easily done at any gala, any in-person event where you're collecting stories in person. It's so easy to do that with MemoryFox, and it's the end of the year. So what better time to collect end of year reflection stories, and MemoryFox campaigns can be really easily used to do that. So you'll get that video in our follow-up too, but we're gonna move on. So our guessing game results. So huge congrats to I think it's Kayleen or Kaylin from the Legal Aid Society of Middle Tennessee. Very close, a lot of really good guesses. And I actually think Aaliyah is here, but she got second place with the 413 guesses. So very close. Congrats. So you were so close, Aaliyah. So I hope that you don't give up on the guessing game in the future. But the final amount was 416, so the winning guess was 417. We are going to give you a second place prize if you do decide to use MemoryFox. We'll donate 20% back of your sign up to your organization through any donation link that you guys want to use if you decide to start a MemoryFox subscription this year. So we can reach out about that. But good guessing, everybody. The average guess was 505, and the number of guesses was about 78, which this was like a very hotly contested thing, Natalie. I don't know about you, but I felt like everybody was like very locked in on this. So just wanted to share some stats around this.
It's always so fun. The number one common thing I heard people say was, I'm so bad at this game, but then yet so many of the guesses were so close. So anyway, that just goes to show something.
Exactly. And we're excited for Legal Aid Society. They want a free starter subscription. So, yeah, I'm just happy for them. And yeah, thank you so much to everybody that participated and came by and gave us a guess. And, I did eat a lot of those M&Ms, but not before I counted. Okay, so now we're going to dive into a little bit of an overview of how MemoryFox works. So I know a lot of you guys had a chance to get a quick brief overview at the booth, but now I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit more in depth of how this works, and it's going to be interactive. So if you guys have your phones, feel free to grab them. We're going to go through the full process of how we collect, organize, and share community stories at MemoryFox. So we'll have an opportunity to walk through this campaign together and fully submit a piece of content. So this can be interactive if you'd like. And again, stop me if you have any questions. Natalie, I know we have the chat going here, so if there was anything that I missed, just let me know. So, yeah, just a tiny bit of background about us at MemoryFox. For those that didn't get to hear it, we do work with all nonprofits here. So all of our customers are 501c3s, mission-driven organizations in the US and Canada. So even those that are operating locally and operating globally and collecting stories globally, we work with all size nonprofits to help them collect, organize, and share community stories in the form of pictures, videos, and written testimonials. And we try to do that with ethical storytelling in mind. Natalie touched early on the ethical storytelling side of things, but from a collection side, it's pretty simple. We want to be really upfront with people about what it is we're asking for, why we're asking for it, what we're going to do with it. So the people that you're asking to share those stories can feel really good about sharing, and you guys can feel really good about using it. From an organizational standpoint, everything gets stored and organized for you by how you've collected it. So a lot of our customers, like we said earlier, before joining us, they did tell us that ultimately a lot of their pictures and videos are a bit scattered. It's on someone's phone here or in a Google Drive here. We want to centralize all that for you, giving you a hub where everything is really easily accessible to you and other members of your team. And then from a sharing perspective, we have some really easy ways to authentically share those stories with your community as well. And so this is the layout of MemoryFox. This also gives you a snapshot of how our subscriptions work. So the layout of MemoryFox is collect, organize, and share. And from a high level, all of our subscriptions are annual. So we work with our customers across 12 months. So whether you're doing that monthly membership option or annual membership, everything is over the course of 12 months because we want to give your campaigns living, breathing time within your community to really help you build this story bank. So on the left side here, this is the collection side and the storyteller side of the journey, the collection tool, how your community would share content with your organization. So from a simplicity standpoint, you're either providing folks either a custom URL that is custom branded to you guys where they click on a link or they scan a QR code. There's no download required. There's no password. It just takes them right to the secure page that is designed to be an extension of your website, your branding. In every single price tier that we offer, each campaign does come with a custom logo. So it is always from a story collection side, it's always branded to your organization. So when they click on that link, it's a very barrier-free experience. You're simply providing them a little bit of background about what it is you're asking for, why you're asking for it, collecting consent, giving them storyteller prompts with some ideas and ways to share, and then giving folks the ability to do a video testimonial, a photo with a caption, a written testimonial, or they can upload previously taken photos. And for you, what's great from an organizational standpoint, everything gets tagged and organized by how you've captured it. So this is your completely password protected cloud-based story bank where everything gets organized and tagged by these campaigns that you're creating. So ideally what we're doing here at MemoryFox is we're helping you guys create campaigns that are aligned with different programs that you run, different events that you want to collect stories at, different communities you want to collect stories from. So then all of that stuff in your story bank is organized that way. So it works as an internal feed. Everything that comes in gets populated right at the top here, but then you can search by the name of the campaign, the question that you answered, the person's name that's submitted. It all organizes for you and saves you time from having to manually organize stuff into folders. And again, everything is completely password protected, and you guys own all of this content. So we simply provide a space for, your community to really easily share content that you own. So if you were to use MemoryFox for a year, for whatever reason, decide not to continue, you guys take all of this content with you, but this is a content management system in essence, and that you guys own all of that content. And anytime you want, you can download any piece of content right from your story bank. So from a sharing perspective, you can take that raw data right from your story bank, download that in its original format. We have a video editor with MemoryFox where you can snip, crop, and edit videos and download those files. We have automated transcriptions. We also have our very favorite, the Canva integration that makes all of the sharing super simple in all the different templates that they have. We have an app in the App Store. And then the last piece from that really zoomed out overview is that we have what's called our story pages. So these are just unique landing pages that you can build with your collected stories. So I'm going to touch on each of these here for you so you can see the whole process here and what this looks like. So from a collection standpoint, this is the storyteller side of the journey. So let's see, who uses Canva for their design projects? Any Canva users, throw it in the chat. So from a technical standpoint, when you become a MemoryFox storyteller, you simply check out from our website, and then it prompts you to provide your branding. So we set up your account for you with your logo, every URL. It's a completely custom URL to your organization. So if it's the YMCA, ymcacalgary.memfox.io / and then you name the campaign after whatever it is you want to collect stories around. So when you're creating new campaigns within MemoryFox, it's just a simple form that you fill out, and that generates a link and a QR code that you can send out to your community in just minutes. So when you are creating these campaigns, you're going to name the campaign after whatever it is you want to collect stories around. In this first description here, it's their introduction to what it is you're asking for, why you're asking for it. And Natalie, I'm sure you've seen this so much with the customers of ours that you work with. It goes such a long way when you tell folks why their story matters, giving them a little bit of background about why you're asking for their story, what you're going to do with it. In this example that you're about to see here is one of our customers that has an after school program called Fit Kids 360. They simply named the campaign Fit Kids 360 Program Stories. As you can see, this is their logo. They shared this with parents and caregivers and teachers and people that were a part of this program to just simply share the impact of the program. And so within this campaign here, you're giving them that little bit of background saying, by sharing your story, you can help other families find the support they need to keep their children happy and healthy. And then telling them a little bit of that high level, this is only going to be shared with funders, community partners, and people considering doing this program. Great introduction here. So they'll click start, and actually, this is your opportunity to scan the QR code. So anybody who wants to scan this QR code here and go ahead and participate in this campaign, this is your opportunity to do that. So go ahead and give this a scan, and you can actually follow along. And if you want to go ahead and submit a piece of content, this is just a demo account, so it'll go right in. So here's where you can collect custom user data. So if you have different programs, different locations, you can really customize the user data here. We offer drop downs that they can just select from a list. You know, are you completing this on behalf of yourself or a minor child or a program participant? A lot of times we have teachers doing this with students that are maybe too young to use the phone, but they're grabbing photos and videos of the kids as a part of the program. Of course, in that scenario, they did collect consent as a part of the program, but there's really creative ways to do that. And you can do things like that in this step where it tags to your submission, and they'll click start here. And Natalie, keep an eye on the chat for me here too. So if any questions come up as I'm doing this, just let me know and I can stop and answer them.
Will do.
And so this is your consent form here. So you can change your consent form per campaign, and they'll check this box to continue. But that consent piece is so important, right? Because we want to make sure that we're not only like from a legal perspective, covering our bases, but just again, continuing to be upfront with folks about what it is we're doing with their story. And you know what I've seen as well, even if it's your staff internally, using MemoryFox campaign as a way to stay organized, this can serve as a guide as to what you're telling your field staff as to be, you know, what they should be taking pictures and videos in. So these can be used in so many different ways. So these are storyteller prompts, right? So this is where you're going to guide people on some different options for what to respond to. In this example, we did a thank you message to the donors, a program referral if someone was considering joining the program, or the impact of the program. But Natalie preaches this all the time, but the more specific you can, the better. And a prompt like a thank you message is so simple. So if you're creating a thank you to your donors video, like Natalie shared during her presentation at NPSC, you know, such a simple prompt to just ask your staff or community members to just do a quick thank you to the donor. So as you can see here, it does carry over the language right within the recording screen so they don't forget what to say. So I'm going to go ahead and submit a video. I encourage anybody else that wants to do so as well. But if you can see here at the bottom, it says video, photo, and upload. You can include text as an option. So if someone does not feel comfortable having their face on it, they can do a text testimonial. Otherwise, you can leave it completely open and let someone submit any of those options. And what's nice is you can control the type of content you'll accept per prompt. So if for certain questions, like say, for example, this thank you message prompt, you only wanted videos because you were sharing a video project, you can make it so that video is the only option, or you can leave it completely open. So I'm going to go ahead and record a video. As you can see, gives you a countdown. Thank you so much to the donors that made this program possible. We couldn't have done it without you. So simple, super easy. They can play it back. Thank you so much to the donors that made this program possible. So they can do it as many times. There's a retry button if they don't like it, but they can download their own copy. If they like it, hit continue. They'll do a caption here, and then hit submit. and then they're done. So from a storyteller perspective, really simple, really clear, really quick, and then they're all set. So if they want to continue submitting, they can. Otherwise, this last button is a redirect and we can send them just to the website if you'd like. But one other note before I continue about the story collection tool is that it's really good for bulk upload as well. So if you do events, you have some end of year things coming up where you wanted folks to just upload content that they have taken, they can go ahead and select this upload. So one of these questions here can be upload, and they can go ahead and upload in bulk. So, if someone wanted to say, okay, I want to upload all the 50 pictures that I took during this event, they can choose 50 pictures at one time and simply transfer that over. So whether you're asking people to record those new live video impressions, talking about your mission, or uploading previously taken photos and videos because they don't have time to do it in the moment, these MemoryFox campaigns can be a catch-all for any sort of file transferring. So hopefully everybody's going ahead and submitting a piece of content for us right now. But as those come in, I'll just show you here that everything that gets submitted gets tagged and organized for you by how you've collected it. So everything is tagged and organized by campaign, by question, as I said. So it's really easy to segment all of your content and stay organized by program area, by event, by community, all that stuff. So as you can see here, everything that comes in populates at the top, and I'm going to show you here. As it looks like we have some pups here. There's my cat, but again, here's my video that was submitted. So big smiles. We've got a video download button here, a tagging. We got the automated transcriptions. We got all kinds of fun things. But as you can see here, everything that comes in new comes in right at the top. And then you can search by, the name of the campaign here. So if I wanted to see just the Fit Kids program stories, it's going to funnel down to show you just that content you've collected from that campaign. If you wanted to see just the answer to a certain question, you could do that as well. So just automatically tags and organizes everything privately for you. And then really the last piece is our story pages and our Canva integration. So just to show you here, to pull this up for what it looks like. So those folks that do use Canva, I think it's really important to show everybody that it's different than the uploads folder. Mine personally looks a little crazy, but we have an app in the App Store. So if you can see here on this left panel here, little MemoryFox, there's my video that I just submitted. So if you created a campaign and you just wanted to create a quick project in Canva displaying all that content to share in your newsletter, social media, end of year appeals, Facebook, wherever it is you want to share it, you can find that template so easily in Canva. You click on your folder that has all the videos that were submitted from that campaign. So easy to drag and drop that cute pup into any project that you're working on, right from Canva into a project. So everything is organized so neatly for you. And really our last piece is we have what's called our story pages. Natalie, I think we'll be able to touch on that in some of our customer examples, but these are just unique landing pages that you can build with your collected stories. And I do love this example. Just to show you really quickly here, we have a customer, Link Housing. They essentially created a Meet Our Residents campaign story page. They embedded that directly into their website. What a beautiful display of photos and videos that represent their mission. Their Meet Our Residents campaign just has folks uploading really simply photos of what it's like to be a part of this community. We have an approval process set up here, so nothing goes live into this public-facing web page unless they've approved it, but it really just provides a public-facing feed where people can see the real impact stories of the community, and we can help you set all of this stuff up. So it just makes all of that really, really simple. Natalie, do we have any questions so far on how everything works here?
I think we got him covered. There was questions about if the prompts in that demo campaign let you do video only. But like you were showing, there's video. So you always get the choice for each question you populate within a campaign. If you want to offer your community the opportunity to share their response via video, photo, text only, where there's no visual, or the upload, which is what would allow you to access your device's content library and upload existing content. So for each prompt you build into a campaign, you get to select which of those in combination or which solo do you want to give. Like if you really want to funnel people to video, for one example, then you just click on video. But if you want to really expand the array of options, you always have the opportunity to do that for each different question you bake into a campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Great explanation. Yeah, it just makes all of that really easy. Okay, great. Well, that's sort of the overview of MemoryFox. I want to touch on the memberships here, and then we're going to jump into some more customer examples so you guys can see all the different options we have for getting started. So I have here our three different membership tiers. So as you can see here, we've got Starter, Growth, and Campfire. So Starter is a great option if you just need a couple campaigns to get started. It comes with 2 admin seats, 3 story collection campaigns, 120 submissions, and 360 content uploads. And one thing I just want to make really clear, because I think this is where sometimes people get a little confused about our different membership options, what the difference is between campaigns, submissions, and content uploads. You know what option might work best for you. So campaigns are essentially these that we just walked through. So you get 3 unique story collection campaigns that are active. So you can run 3 concurrent campaigns at a time in that starter account. And in growth, it's going to be 6, and in Campfire, it's going to be 12. So for the submissions, these are essentially responses to the prompts here. So if you are looking at this starter option, you have 120 submissions. Growth is 600 and Campfire is 1800. So it just kind of depends on how many you think you would need. But submissions are folks that click on that prompt here and go ahead and respond through that storyteller prompt in your campaign. So per year, 120 of those, 360 uploads. So the content uploads are going to be direct uploads. So if someone wanted to do that bulk upload directly into your story bank here, so if you wanted to use this as a content management system and you wanted to bulk upload content and use this as a way to get organized, the nice thing about the way MemoryFox is set up is that you are actually able to tag uploaded content to previous campaigns. So if you created a campaign that was from a specific event and you wanted to upload 500 pictures from that event, you can tag it to that campaign in your story bank. So this might be for somebody who wants to use this as their content management system and stay organized. So those are probably the most biggest questions that I get in terms of the membership options. And then as you can see here, custom branding comes with each one, so you get a logo on your campaign regardless. With the growth tier, it does include that Canva integration, the automated transcription services, and that chat support as well. But I think that the growth tier would be for you if you're a Canva user and you want the automated transcriptions, which is getting the text for all of the videos. Campfire, which I'm going to have Natalie talk about here in a second. Campfire is our most popular option in that most of our customers have Campfire. And the reason why that is because it comes with not only more of each of these items, but it also comes with a dedicated customer success manager like Natalie. So what's really unique about that is that our customer success team does come with the experience of working with all of our customers to collect community stories. And this particular community example, for example, that did come to NPSC. We know you guys care a lot about storytelling. So we've worked with so many customers that have used MemoryFox to do that. So you get a dedicated customer support manager that gets access to our Campfire community. And I'm going to let Natalie talk a little bit more about Campfire. And then we're going to go into some customer examples. But Natalie, what can you tell people about what it's like to work with your team?
Yeah, so one of the best privileges we get is like these direct collaborations with our campfire customers to help you do a couple things. Part of it is the direct one-on-one onboarding, so you really understand the best practices, kind of like we were just talking through there in the chat, Donna, of how to build your campaigns in a really intentional way to maximize your potential content collection. The other thing, beyond the immediate onboarding, which is kind of a three-part series that we then do, is quarterly with the option to upgrade that to monthly, or to expand that to monthly if you would like monthly. But I know not everybody wants a monthly call, but quarterly tends to work pretty well, where we hop on a call with your team once every 3 months to kind of break down what's coming up in those 3 months ahead. And we will offer you strategy around best practices for utilizing MemoryFox in event spaces, in your program spaces, and all the different places where you can collect content. So we talk about strategy, but then we're also here to kind of put our brains together with you and brainstorm some really creative ideas for collecting content, but maybe also some easy ways that you may not be considering, because you all do probably 1,000 things a week, and you're not necessarily thinking about what are all those opportunities to collect content that we don't want you to miss out on. So we've taken what we've learned over so many years of working with nonprofits, of what we've seen have worked really well, and we work those into these strategy and brainstorming sessions. We can also do things like go through your website together to do a little bit of an audit to see where it makes sense to plug in links, again, to maximize that potential you have from your community to get stories. And then we can also talk you through, once you have collected a great bank of stories, what can you do on the back end to turn them into really nice presentations, to build them into all of your impact reports, to take them and utilize our story page function, which basically takes any of that, like any of the stories you receive that are in your story bank on the back end that your team only sees, and turning them into a public facing gallery of impact, so to speak. So we have all that. The other thing we do that's really, like, to me, the cherry on top of all of this is what we call our campfire community. And that is our monthly gathering of customers, where every month, kind of like we're doing here, we hop on Zoom, and each month focuses on a different topic, kind of whatever's relevant to that time of year. So for example, like back in April, it was National Volunteer Month or Global Volunteer Month. So we looked at how to really like double down on volunteer stories. Right now, certainly we're in giving season mode. So that's what we're highlighting this month. But we come together, and for 45 minutes to an hour, we highlight 3 to 5 customers who are doing that type of storytelling really well. They come on and they present what they were able to source from their community story-wise, and then what they were able to build out of that that content, and share with their larger community, to show the impact of their work. And then they kind of talk us through like their strategy, their approach to building the campaign, why it worked so well. And then from there, we kind of workshop together like what ideas the rest of our customers have and how we help you overcome any challenges. And those have just been such a powerful space of collaboration. That's what so many people need these days. We don't always need like another resource. We actually just need the space to get it done and check it off of our list. And so that's really the intention behind these gatherings, is to help you just get it done and get the content out there to show the wonderful impact that you're having when you're so busy in the day-to-day activity.
I love that part. And I hear this a lot from our customers too, the ones that visited us. They were like, it's so nice to just have time on the calendar that I know that's dedicated to meet with the team, because I have to I wear 1,000 other hats. And so much of my time is spent doing that. But I know I have 1 hour on the calendar coming up, and that's what I'm going to use. So it becomes like an extension of their team in a way. And consultants are really, I mean, very helpful, but I mean, I do think our team becomes a consultant in a way, and it can be a lot cheaper to, you get a software with it and you get your own storytelling consultant in a way to work with you. So I love
And
that.
what's so great on that note, Danielle, is like, I know a lot of you just know you are the core, likely one of the core storytellers at your organization, but not everybody at your organization understands what you're trying to accomplish in a way that the lead at all these other organizations do. So it's kind of like this built-in community of people who understand each other and become almost an extension of each other's teams, even though they're at separate organizations. So yeah, kind of to feed on what you're saying there, it really is like talking to people who understand it and can help you get through what you're trying to accomplish together.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for unpacking that. And I think it's just, important to share with this particular community and just because storytelling is so important to everybody from the conference. But either way, you can get started at MemoryFox in any of the tiers. You can always upgrade. So, if you needed to start in the starter, maybe that's all that's in the budget. You can always start there. And we're going to drop some links in the chat that are here. But what we have from the conference, initially, this was just like a during the conference booking discount, but we've extended that. So this code, all of the stuff will be good through Thanksgiving. So it's 10% off starter and growth. We're also including a free strategy session. You'll notice if you go to checkout, that's typically $240 to include a kickoff strategy session. The reason why we created these starter and growth packages is because we wanted to create smaller packages that are just basically only paying for what you need. But we do want to include this free strategy session to kick off your account. So anybody that signs up as a part of this community will get a session with someone from Natalie's team. It might be Natalie, but you'll get a free session to kick off your account. So you can just go ahead and check out in the MemoryFox store. So you can either scan this QR code or click on the link and you put NPSC 10 at checkout, and from there, you would get signed up for your account, prompt with your branding, and we'll get you scheduled with that session. Anybody that's interested in Campfire, let us know. We'll provide that code one-on-one. And if you want to schedule some more time to talk about Campfire, what that plan would look like, or if you just have any other questions, you want to meet one-on-one, feel free to scan this QR code or click on my calendar link and schedule time with me one-on-one. We can always do a deeper dive into how your team could use MemoryFox. So we'll bring this back up at the end so you guys can take a look at this, but that's sort of the overview of how the subscriptions work. I do want to pass it back off to Natalie to talk about some success stories and ways some of our customers have used MemoryFox in the past, but I'll drop this stuff in the chat so you have access to that. But I do think it would be helpful to talk about some ways people use our tools. So with that said, Natalie, what do you got for us?
Okay, awesome. I have about 5 different ideas and examples here. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly just in the interest of time. We want to leave space at the end for any questions people have. But I think it is important to actually see some of these ideas in action. Certainly, if any of you came to my session, you saw some of the real videos examples that I showed, but these ones are additional ones that I'll kind of talk you through and help you understand what people did here. So first one that we're showing on the screen, and maybe some of you actually saw this at our booth, we had this kind of like story page, so to speak, that they built in Canva up on that far right computer monitor. But the idea here is that this organization, the Community Foundation of Martin St. Lucie, they give out this scholarship to high school students, and they wanted to show the real impact on these students' lives through their own voices. So they asked their awardees to share what they were able to achieve, kind of looking back on their early years of college, thanks to the scholarship, and then at the same time vocalize their aspirations for what's still to come. And they took all these responses and turn it into this really compelling community story page that they then share out with their partners and donors, all who fund the program to make this work possible, as a way to steward those dollars, share some gratitude, and show them the impact of what their dollars do. At the same time, what I love about it is not only did it have that like connection point for their funders and partners, it also then is giving these students a moment to reflect on where they are in their life and study journey. Okay, next example. So this one here is a great idea that I think anybody can build on if you need to do any sort of like reporting back to corporate partners or for like grant reporting. So the idea behind this is Hiring Our Heroes. That's the nonprofit that they work with, and they have this kind of like work internship where they work with veterans who are returning home to and kind of starting to dig into their first civilian career opportunity. They first put them through this work internship program that's 6 weeks and helps them build some initial job skills as they then go out and seek their first full-time civilian employment. This whole internship is funded by CarMax. And so they wanted a really easy way to go back to that team at CarMax to say, hey, thanks to your funding and our programming together, these are the veterans that we were able to put through this cohort. And so they simply built a MemoryFox campaign that they then reached out to these people once they completed the internship program and asked them to share a little bit about what those skills are now that they have in their arsenal and what type of employment they're seeking. And ultimately, then they took all these stories and built them into a story page collection of about like a dozen nice stories that they then just sent that link to their contacts at CarMax to thank them and continue to steward that corporate partnership going forward into future years to get them that funding. The other thing about it that's wonderful then is now they have about a dozen ready-made videos that they could repurpose and not just share with the partner, but also put out onto social channels, in newsletters, in other impact reports, as a way to really repurpose that content, to collect it once, but then put it out into all the places where your community needs to hear it. Okay, next one. All right, great example for events. So certainly, I would imagine several of you probably run events, and unless you have a really easy way to capture the content that people are surely taking at the event, be it photos or videos, it just becomes lost marketing collateral that your team then could otherwise share in recap of the event or kind of in promotion of future years' events. So this one I love here. We work with Wreaths Across America. Some of you may be familiar with their programming, but basically what they do is every December, so coming up pretty soon here, they have an annual wreath laying ceremony. And what it is like thousands of volunteers all across the country go out to cemeteries in the US and they place wreaths on the headstones of fallen service members. This is a super high volume event in terms of participation. Their reach is really widespread because people are doing this again all across the country, literally at like thousands of cemeteries. And so what they did is they prompted their volunteers to share what it means to participate in this day and who they're honoring by doing this. And then after the fact, they don't do it during because they want that moment to be very reverent. But after the fact, they give them a link to the MemoryFox campaign and ask them to upload to them any content that they captured that day and also hop on video and share that testimony to the people whose memory that they want to honor. And by doing this, their team was actually able, like every year, they capture somewhere around 8,000 pieces of content from that single day alone, which is in a sense, quite mind-blowing, but amazing that then what that does is that builds this whole bank from that one single day that they're then able to use that content in their marketing and fundraising materials all year long. But again, not only does it help them with their fundraising effort, it then just as importantly gives voice to those who want to reflect on somebody that they've lost and pay tribute to their memory. Okay, this great example comes from the YMCA of Northern Alberta. You probably heard me highlight their volunteer stories. Again, if you came to the session, same organization, but this one is a look into their grant recipients. And so again, what they did so well here is they just kept their prompts super simple. So Danielle, I don't know if you want to just take a moment to play like 30 seconds of this video and you can see what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Dominic here.
My name is Felicity.
My name is Allison.
My name is Noah Martin.
My name is Olive Dorothy.
My name is Mason Musflar.
My name is Amanda Marshall.
My name is Mandy Ford.
Scott Chambers here. Just wanted to send out a big thanks and a note of appreciation to everybody involved in awarding me one of the Bennett W. Clark Memorial Leadership Grants.
This is a huge honor.
I am glad to have been awarded the Anne Ellen Medonick Leadership Grant.
And I'm a recipient of the Cecil and Helen Paul Leadership Grant.
I was awarded the Del Dilkey Leadership Grant.
The Ivor and Mika Lamarink YMCA Leadership Grant.
The Edwin S. Cook.
So basically their prompt was tell us your name, tell us what grant you got. And then if you were to watch to the end of the video, it would say what this grant is going to enable you to do. And so not at all hard for their...
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was going to say, should we play a second of what it means?
Yeah, that's actually a great one right there. Go ahead and play that one.
Province. It will be graciously, we can all work together so that I can help staff grow and develop their skills so that we can all work together for strong kids across the province. It will.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
so
doing
really,
good
I
at
mean,
this.
that's okay. No, I think that was that gave us a little sneak peek of what's behind the scenes there. But frankly, it took probably no more than a minute or two for their awardees to share
Everyone,
these test.
Canva's twitching out right now. Sorry.
It's okay. So yeah, not a huge commitment from their grantees, but then just pieced together, it made a really impactful piece that they were able to share at their annual president's dinner, to celebrate the grant recipients, but to also at the same time give gratitude to those generous supporters who make it possible. All right, and then if you fast forward, last one. So another, like, one of, I think, the best uses of MemoryFox, I mean, there's certainly as many as your creative brain allows you to come up with, but this one is really great when it comes to advocacy work. So any of you who are trying to go out there and make policy change or continue to get funding for certain programs that are at like a federal or local or state level, this is a really great example where this organization went to all the people who were actually a part of this program, the caregivers in the training program, and had them share why this funding is so critical. They rolled them up together into this great video piece that they then took to the state capitol as they tried to, get the secured continued funding for this program. I think yep, that does wrap up our video example. So just a sliver of what you can do with MemoryFox. And again, I would say if anybody wants to talk through how this can apply to your organization, or maybe you have ideas that are similar, parallel, or maybe a little bit tangential or something completely different, definitely I would recommend talking through some of those with Danielle. She can tell you what we have seen has worked well, and how it can also then apply to your own organization and mission.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie. Those were great examples. And I know that it's probably hard to choose which ones you wanted to highlight today because there's so many. But thank you for sharing those. Hopefully that gives people a really good idea. And like she said, if you guys want to spend any more time talking about examples that are specific to how other folks have used MemoryFox, how it relates to your organization, feel free to book a demo with me. We can always talk a little bit more in detail about your programs and what your storytelling goals are to see how MemoryFox can fit in. As you can see here, we do have the 10% off starter and growth, and it will include that free strategy session. So again, you can just click on this link anytime and check out with that code, or we can spend some time chatting about Campfire and we can give that code to you if you guys are interested. So we are going to send out a follow-up email to everybody from this. It sort of wraps everything that we talked about today, and it will also include those codes and the recording. I did have a couple questions and I want to make time if there's any others. But I do think that there were a couple really good questions. So I just wanted to bring those up. So one of the questions that we got was, could you give a little explanation of what the role of an admin is? Can more than one organization have admins in the same account? Specifically for me, wondering if the United Way, our state association, another United Way could share Campfire account and spread the cost around. So the short answer is maybe. So the reason why I say that is because you do want to be really careful in terms of the consent piece. So we have in the past done admin seats for one subscription. You can add if you work with a marketing agency or you have a consultant that helps you, we'll give them an admin seat. The problem with giving admin seats to separate United Ways or separate organizations is that everything gets tagged and organized into the same account. And so if you have collected consent from your community and told them that only it's only for your organization, they might not give consent to the other United Way to have access to their content because everything is going to be in one story bank. However, what we do have is we have what's called sub accounts. And so if you did want to create connected accounts that are essentially the ability to have your own unique story bank, your own set of campaigns, your own branding, because it would be, a brand for your specific account, we can create connected accounts and we could do a discount for you guys that way. And that way you guys are operating separately. And if you wanted to collaborate on campaign building or using a story, your stories that are shared in maybe one admin does have consent to seeing both, but it's basically a drop down here and you can switch accounts. And that way you're keeping the content separate, you're keeping, the campaign separate. And to put it into context, we do have some like chapter-based organizations that use this. So, maybe like in our capacity building programs that we have, like your primary account, your headquarters has their primary account, and then they have different chapters that have opted into MemoryFox, or different grantees that have opted into MemoryFox, and they subsidize that cost for them, or they pay for that for them as a way to build capacity amongst that network. So you do have a sub account option where you can create those connected accounts. But what we can do specifically in this scenario is we could just do like a little mini group discount, or we can give you guys a discount for both accounts that way. Or otherwise, everything, if it is all in one account, those admin seats, I would just be weary on like the consent piece. But we can talk about that one-on-one, based on your specific situation. So if it's appropriate, we can talk about that. If that makes sense. I know it's kind of a long-winded answer, but we can talk more about that. If cost is an issue, yeah, totally. So we can think about that sub account option for sure. So we can talk more about maybe an accessible option for you guys. So one that makes the most sense, especially if Campfire is seemingly the most valuable one and the one that you guys want to do. We would love to find a way to make that accessible. So let's definitely chat about that. And then the other question, I think that came up was about upgrading. So just to bring it back to these tiers here, and I do think it might be helpful. Maybe I can pull up the link. So just to pull up this link here. So as you can see here, we've got a couple different options here where when you get started here, it'll show you the annual cost. So you're looking at, you can get started for as low as $11.88 annually. But if you were to start with this and maybe want to upgrade to growth, you can upgrade to growth, and you can just pay the difference. So we would like just basically prorate that if you did upgrade to growth from starter, maybe 6 months in. If you wanted to expand that, we would just bill you for the difference. So if you did just want to get started, and I know Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so it's a little bit of a quick turnaround time to get those discounts. If you did just need to start here and upgrade later, we can certainly do that as well. But as you can see, there's monthly and annual options for each of these. So, I mean, you can really get started for as low as $165 if you wanted. So, at the checkout, you'll see there's a couple different options as well. This is the annual strategy session that we were talking about that we are including for you guys. So, if anybody does do starter or growth, we are going to include this for you guys for at the value of $240. So that'll be included for all of our MPSC friends here today. If you do choose either of these options, and then Campfire, like I said, we can provide that code internally, and we can always connect one-on-one about what that will look like. So what other questions, Natalie? Do we have any other questions about how MemoryFox works, or anybody want to come off and ask anything?
I think you covered everything in the chat that I saw. So yeah, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or just come off mute. We can talk through them with you. Yeah, and I love to hear that, Donna, that just knowing that there is now this gap in video production, and certainly being able to source that from your community in a really ethical and straightforward way where you give them the microphone. Maybe you look at this, like you said, as an opportunity to do this in a different way than has been done previously, with a more like video production angle.
I got that question at our booth, Natalie, when people would come up to us and say, I mean, a couple different ways, right? Where like, oh, we already have a photographer and a videographer. Why would I need this? Well, as you know, I'm sure, is there's a big difference between photos and videos that are coming from the voice of your community, that they're representing themselves, versus those higher production pieces, which there's always a time and a space for those, but those are expensive and they are time consuming, and they also are serving a completely different purpose than making space for your community to share the impact of your mission in their words, especially for if you have a mission that maybe you do a lot of things like United Ways and foundations that have so many different impact areas. It's really hard to tell your story in just a couple words. I feel like so many times when I would ask people, what's your story? What does your organization do? And everyone's like, well, I'm still kind of like working on my pitch and like what we do. And that's a very common thing because nonprofits tend to do a lot. So if you're a foundation, if you're an organization that's trying to tell a lot of different stories. If you make these campaigns available to your community to tell the impact of your work in their words, these campaigns can travel so easily and make it so easy and simple on them to quickly share that. And those video compilations, you can so easily create that Canva project that we made and share that with your community and just coming into that in just minutes. I mean, the collect, organize, and share is like really our patented our way that we do it, but it just makes it so easy on them. And then you decide what gets shared publicly really easily. So I really, it was interesting to hear that throughout the conference.
And Donna makes another great point that if you're not, you might just be paying for it just as much in staff time. And so being able to have that is exactly where I came from when I was in-house at a nonprofit and I spent hours like manually doing a DIY version of this, and to free up that time to help us do like to actually perform our mission is worth more than like you can really put any price tag on, frankly.
Yeah. So I know we're at time here, so we can let everybody go. Thank you so much for hopping on today and just learning a little bit more about MemoryFox. Like I said, you're going to get a follow-up email with all the promotion and all the promotions that we have going on. It will include my calendar link as well. If anybody wants to spend some more time chatting with us, feel free to do that. But thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that attended Natalie's session at the conference, that stopped by our booth for doing the guessing game. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and we hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I'm gonna stop the recording if I know how to do that.